talk about how he probably had disagreed with the head of state on a few issues around the trip to Mount Kenya region for the president. It is very difficult not to buy into the idea that this is weaponization of the fight against corruption and the EACC simply being used for that. Do you agree?
Yes, totally, Fred. And one thing that, you judge something by is when there is a particular pattern. I mean, you cannot tell me that only governors who cross the government's line are corrupt. We are yet to see any governor, for example, from the president's region, being subjected to what we have seen Wamatangi and Natembeya subjected to. And one thing that I have an issue with Fred, and which shows clearly that this is political witch hunt, is because the dramatic arrest. I mean, these are county governors. If an order is placed to them to present themselves before EACC, I believe these governors will present themselves to the EACC. So the question then becomes, why do we stage these dramatic arrests of governors? People who have, huge responsibilities, people whose address is known, and people who can be given summons by the DCI, by EACC, and they will present themselves. I was looking at those images yesterday of Governor Natembeya being handcuffed. I mean, this drama, Fred, and I think this government should get embarrassed of itself. I mean, how do you handcuff, a governor because there are corruption charges against him? I mean, you handcuff dangerous criminals. So this thing of handcuffing governors, dramatic arrests, going home, we can understand where the detectives go visit governors' homes or anybody's houses to collect evidence, but not to arrest. You just issue a summon against a sitting governor and they'll appear before EACC. They'll appear before DCI. I mean, these are not fugitives. So the other thing is what I'm calling the pattern. I mean, and my colleague Eddie has said, and I was listening to his argument, that if it was going to be political harassment because of the way that these governors criticize the government, that Governor Orengo would have been arrested. I want to tell Eddie here, he may not have thought about this, but for Governor Natembeya, the issue is about kingpinship in the Mulembe Nation. President Ruto does not want the Mulembe Nation to have a kingpin because, of course, he knows the consequences that will have or the impact it will have on the 2027 elections. He would rather have Wetang'ula and Musalia remain there because he can and has already been able to manage these two. And anybody who has been observing the political landscape in this country can tell you that Natembeya is coming out as a Luhya Kingpin and a kingpin who is independent-minded and who may not be compromised. And that is where the war is. Now, just to tell Eddie why Orengo and Nyong'o may not be arrested or, subjected to this, because in Luo land, there is already an established kingpin. So Ruto does not feel threatened by Orengo and Nyong'o. But Ruto feels very threatened by Governor Natembeya. Right. And that is why Governor Natembeya has to suffer this. Okay. That he
let me
just, from Orengo and the Nyong'o.
Doesn't the events of the last 2 days, therefore, then lionize Governor Natembeya further in the eyes of the Mulembe Nation?